Hey guys, welcome back this week to MadRatt's Industrial Custom Everything. This week, you learn why we got the name we got. So, buckle up, sit back, figure out why I am or who I am or what I am. In the meantime, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell so, when this crap comes up again, you'll be notified when my crap's up and you'll be able to watch our crap. So thanks for coming by the shop. We're glad you did. Have a seat, kick back, relax. If you got something cold and fizzy to drink, crack that puppy open because here we go. This week's going to be just nothing but a little bit of information and a get to know each other. Well, I can't get to know you if you don't comment down below, but you'll get to know me a little better this time around. So thanks for stopping by. Hope you had a great week, and let's hit it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel this week. Hope you had a good week. Hope you had a better week than I had. We're back here in the shop doing a few things and didn't get a lot of stuff to do for content, but I got an idea of what you may or may not be asking yourself. I've just had a week, like you can see behind me here. Let me turn you around. So yeah, we've done a few things a little different. Now that we got the Nova out, moved around, it's sitting there for now. It moves under its own power, so I could pull it out, get to working on that. Main reason was I needed to get these 3 toolboxes out from behind the wall there, so that when I lower that down, I can open the doors and not run into anything because there was no room over there. And I need to get the steering column out. The vehicle doesn't run, so it needs to be all the work done where it's at. So now we got everything moved over there. Everything's looking good over there. Getting things cleaned up a little bit. We can move through here a little bit. And something new to the shop, in addition, went and bought another one of these shelves. I've had a few of these over time. There. And it allowed me to get these tires, which were causing a big pile up here and a pile up over there, and it's allowing me to get some other stuff up off the ground. I'm not done yet, but we're getting things moved up out of this area of the shop and slowly moving stuff up. Not sure how this is going to work because that's going to be about where a back tire of a car is going to be. I'm hoping it'll be right about here, which means I can just move the garbage can out if I need a little bit of room. I had stuff already piled there the same width as this table, so hopefully that'll work because it's pretty tight in there. Working with what I got, guys, working with what I got. And then when I'm done doing the door on that, what I need to do in the door and everything's done, then these will go back up against the wall there because they're not a problem for me being there other than what I'm doing right now to that. And in the future, if I do need the space to open and close doors, then I can always slide them out of there to here because everything moves now. I can move stuff out, move stuff around. It's a lot of extra work, but it is what it is. But this whooped my ass this week, guys. These suckers are from the railroad truck, and they're solid steel. They're 19.5. The tires are heavy, the rims are heavy, and I pulled a muscle in my damn abdomen. It put me down for a few days because I did this last week, Tuesday. It's been a week since I did it, moving that stuff around. I didn't realize I injured myself until the next day. Then I couldn't get out of bed. So, made for a short week. Let me turn you back around here. So I'm going to do a real short video with you guys. I haven't really been telling anybody, friends or family, that I'm doing these videos and that I'm doing this YouTube thing and trying to be a tuber. Fitting it in between, like I said, working on my personal projects and just taking this to another level of documentation. So I've always, whenever I work on something, I take a lot of pictures. And on occasion, I take video to remind myself what I'm working on. Because, if you work on 2 or 3 vehicles going on, and sometimes you're like, was it that vehicle that I had that? Or that vehicle that did this? Or I like the archaeology, automotive archaeology part of doing uh, these saves and these, you know, will it runs and buying stuff that's been sitting around. I like the archaeology of it, but I tend to forget which vehicle when I'm digging through what thoughts I might have had. It's like, wow, did they do this or did they do that? It looks like they did this. It looks like they did that. And after about the third or fourth vehicle, you don't remember the one from 4 vehicles ago. So I documented on video. Well, that's when I got to thinking, well, geez, some people said, well, why don't you put them on YouTube? And maybe somebody else would enjoy seeing what you're doing and how you're doing it. So I've taken a different approach. I'm doing these videos, trying to be more personable and talking to you guys instead of talking to myself. Instead of for my own posterity and for my own remembrance, sharing it with you guys out there. So I didn't really tell anybody that I was putting them out on YouTube. And I was talking to some friends and family, the last week or two, and just saying what I've been doing. They're like, well, what are you doing down there? It seems like you're taking longer to get started. Well, yeah, because it takes a while to videotape and edit and do all this kind of stuff. Edit. What are you editing? Oh, I'm doing some videos. Oh, yeah, what's your channel called? Well, that's what this video is going to be about. Who and what is MadRatt Industrial Customs? Everything. Industrial Custom everything. So years ago, I, when the forums first started coming out, back in the 2000, late 90s, early 2000s, when the internet was really starting to be a place where people hung out for information, like-minded people, the forums started happening, and you needed a username. And the first forum I got onto was when I was building old bikes. And I mentioned this in one of my other videos, and for those of you who haven't seen any of my other videos, I'll bring you up to speed. I like to tinker with old bikes. I've had a motorcycle on and off my whole life, since I could drive, and mainly imports because it's what I could afford. Harleys were always so dang expensive, and I like speed. So when I was younger, the crotch rocket thing was brand new when I started riding them. 86, 80, the Honda Interceptors came out in the 83, 84, 85, which was kind of a half and half track bike, street bike. And then and the RZs and all that kind of stuff. And then in 89, I bought an 86 YZF 600, YZ 600. And it was one of the first full fairinged bikes. Just like Suzuki came out with the Suzuki Slingshot, the GSX-Rs and the Slingshot. Honda came out with the Hurricanes. Yamaha came out with the YZ 600. And I really liked that bike. And that was my first bike. I was 17, 18 at the time, because my mom didn't want me to have a bike. So I had to have been 18 because I bought it on my own. And ever since then, I've had bikes off and on. Last bike I had that was newer was a R1, Yamaha R1, big 1000 fast bike, 2001. Spent some money on it, polished frame, custom graphics, things of that nature, all the stuff that the guys do nowadays. And that was kind of big and popular then. 89 it wasn't. You had a crotch rocket and you had 9 girls waiting in line to beg you for a ride. Nowadays, crotch rocket, who gives a crap? You got a crotch rocket. Bikes in general, just nobody really cares anymore. People like them. I like them. I don't like traffic, so I don't like riding them anymore. I still like building them. I still like working on them. And that leads me to this next segment, which is I had a small business working with the car dealers, and I was painting scuffed bumpers, fixing rock chips and paint, fixing windshields with rock chips, doing little minor interior repairs. That was a subset of what I did. I did graphics. I did window tinting. And I would take home the vehicles from the dealer at night. I would do everything on the lot that needed to be done that day on their lot for rock chips and window repair. And if I was doing any pinstriping or anything of that, we did it all on the lot at the dealership. But if they had a scuffed bumper that needed to be redid, I would take that back to my shop and I would do it in the evening and then take it back to them the next day. Well, I was bored out of my skull because I'd be working on one at a time because it was just me running the shop. So, I mean, I could only bring back one vehicle at a time. I didn't have multiple vehicles to leave at multiple dealerships and bring back multiple cars, so I could be working on 2 or 3 at a time. And this was in a small town of 50,000 people. It wasn't like a big metropolitan area, so I didn't have huge amount of business that way. And I could schedule them out through the week. I mean, I could do 5 or 6 a week. Sometimes they would drop them off for me if they really needed them, and then I'd have 2 to work on, one that I, brought back and could drive back, and my car was there, and so on and so forth. Anyways, if you know anything about painting bumpers, paint in general, you put down your primer coat and you let it flash for 15-20 minutes, and then you put down another coat and you let it flash for 15-20 minutes, and then you put down your base coat and that flashes for 20-30 minutes, and then you put down, you blend in or whatever you're doing, you make the repair a little bigger, and then it's 15-20 minutes, and then you put down the clear coat and then it's 20-30 minutes, and then you put a heat lamp on it, you do your last coat and you put a heat lamp on it, and then you bake it for 30-45 minutes. A lot of sitting around for 20-30 minutes. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's just repetitive over and over, I'm like, I need a small project, something I can tinker with, go do the repair, and then come over here and tinker on something. So I ended up buying a 75 Honda CB 550 from a buddy of mine. As a joke, I'm like, I'm just going to tinker with it and see if I can make something cool out of it. It was at the time that rat bikes were a thing, but not really a thing. You saw 1 or 2 if you went on a bike cruise with 500, where there was 400 or 500 bikes would show up. There'd be 2, maybe 3 in the crowd. So it wasn't like it is nowadays where, the rat rod cars and the rat rod bikes are abundant. This was 20 something years ago. This was in the, 2000s, early 2000s. So I was tinkering around with this bike. I had bits and pieces of stuff laying around my shop that I made taillights from one bike that a buddy of mine wrecked, and he left parts at my shop, and a seat from another bike, and I bought different handlebars that didn't belong on the bike, and just stuff that people do nowadays. I had been painting. I mixed my own paint when I painted bumpers, and I had messed up, and I had put too much black in it, and it was going to be a waste, but it was enough paint to paint a gas tank. So I thought, well, you know what? It's going in the garbage. I can't use it. It's already mixed. I added a bunch of black to it and a little bit of pearl, and I came up with this really neat gunmetal gray paint. I paid $200 for the bike to start with. I think I had $200 in parts. I had, at the time. In the end, I probably ended up having $800-900 in this bike when it was all said and done. But at this time, I had, left the tires alone and, scuffed and painted the wheels, the rims because the chrome was shitty, and little different things like that. And I ended up with this really interesting looking Street Fighter type rat bike looking thing with a nice paint job. But it was put together like a rat bike. And when I finally got it running right, rebuilt the carbs and things of that nature, and really got it running good, there was a local cruising that once a month they did bikes, every week they did cars, and I decided I was going to take that instead of my $8,000 crotch rocket with all the custom stuff on it. And my buddy at the time, he had gotten out of crotch rockets, and he had himself a really nice Harley night train that he had spent a bunch of money on. And I tell you what, super cool bike. I've said it before in the other videos. This is for the people who haven't seen the videos before, but It's a super cool bike. I mean, blacked out, murdered out, bunch of custom stuff done to it. Beautiful, beautiful bike. I'd own it in a heartbeat. And I'm riding this $400 jalopy I put together. And we cruise down to the bike night, and we get to the stoplights, and I got college, because we had 3 colleges in town, and we're driving through downtown, and that's where the college kids like to hang, because that's where a lot of the restaurants and the bars were. And we had to drive through there to get to the place we're going. And then the place we were going was like in campus, off-campus housing area. So it was a lot of college kids, and just getting whistled at and thumbs up, and my buddy's waving, and they're pointing at me, not him, and he's getting upset. And I'm thinking to myself, this thing's just a blast to ride. It's just so funny, underpowered and goofy and older, and but just a blast to ride. I'm grinning from ear to ear. And we get to the bike night, and we park them up, and more people came by to look at that little Honda than anything there that night. And I couldn't tell if they were laughing or if they enjoyed it. A lot of smiles on people's faces, a lot of pointing, a lot of whispering, a lot of getting down, because I did some oddball different things to it, and getting down on their knees and checking it out. And by the end of the night, my buddy, he's just mad as hell, and he's like, this is bullshit. I'm like, what? What's your problem? He's like, you've got less in that bike than one of my monthly payments on my Harley. And nobody's looked at my Harley. Everybody's gawking at that thing. And he was upset. And it dawned on me. It was kind of life-changing for me. I ended up riding this thing quite a bit, because of the fact that what I realized is, it doesn't matter how much money you have in something. The more money you have in something doesn't mean you enjoy it more. The more expensive something is doesn't mean you enjoy it more. On the ride back to my shop, I'm realizing I got the same wind in my hair, and that's when I had hair. Got the same wind in my face and in my hair as I do on an expensive bike, or these guys with these $20,000 bikes. I'm having the same experience that the reason why you buy a motorcycle, the freeness of being out in the open, and you know, the rush and exhilaration of driving something that's dangerous but safe, you know, I mean, but there's an element of danger there. And I'm having all of this on something that I didn't spend a whole ton of money on. And I built it. I mean, I just made something off the top of my head, and people liked it. And I don't normally give 2 craps, especially after this. I mean, I really don't give 2 craps if you like what I built. It's a bonus if you do. I appreciate it if you do. But I don't build anything, and this is nowadays this is a common term, but this was 20-something years ago. This was 20 years ago. I built it for me. I built it for my approval, not yours. And that really stuck with me after that night. And the more I rode that thing, the more enjoyment I got out of it. And I started seeing people at all of these poker runs and stuff with the bikes, and you got guys that are doing this just like today. You show up with a rat trot, or you show up with something with patina on it, and the old purists shake their head like, what is that piece of garbage doing here? And they got $100,000 in their car. And you got the other people that swarm around it that love it. You know, our hobby, whether it be bikes, old cars, new cars, whatever it is, if you're into motorsports, it doesn't have to be perfect to be enjoyed. It doesn't have to follow a formula. So, getting a little long-winded here, but what I noticed that summer is everybody would always come up to me, dude, love your rat bike. You know, that's a cool rat bike. Or somebody come up and they'd say, man, that thing is so Mad Max, it's ridiculous. Oh, man, it's like something out of Mad Max, but with a nice paint job. And I kept getting that over and over. Road, you know, rat bike, Mad Max bike. So back to what I was saying earlier with the forums, I started getting on the forums for the old Hondas. I got rid of my Yamaha. I got into the old Hondas. I got several of them now. And I really enjoy the building of them more than I do the riding anymore because of traffic, like I said. But I got into the forums, and because it was something new, and I was getting into the 750s then. I got up into the CB 750s, the single overhead cams, the pre-79s, 78 and olders. Really like those bikes. Awesome motors. You can do a lot based around that motor. Looks good. They run great. They're not the most powerful. They're powerful enough. But they've got a substantial size. When you build something around it, it doesn't look like a little import. It looks like a regular bike. And I'll post some pictures up if I can of the bike that I built, the first one I built that got me onto the forums. But they ask for a username, and what are you going to do? You're looking, everybody's got some kind of nickname or whatever. I never had a nickname riding. My name's Corey, and I've been called CJ when I've moved other places because there was other Corys, and my middle name's John, so they call me CJ. So Corey or CJ, whichever. And I'm going to say, I ain't putting that on there. That's just, I ain't using my name, and that's not a nickname. And well, I got the Rat bike. I like Rat bikes, and it's Mad Max bike, and Rat Max, and I just kind of went through a few iterations, and I landed on MadRatt. It's Mad Max. It's a Rat bike. It's a MadRatt bike, and it's ended up being my username. It's not my name. Nobody else knows me by that unless you see me online. MadRatt is my username for a lot of things. And then I got into always been into cars, always, since my earliest memories. Cars are a lot more expensive than bikes. I got into bikes later on in life because bikes are cheaper to tinker with than cars. I could have a $5,000-$6,000 bike and have something really cool, a couple-year-old crotch rocket that I spend some time and effort on, and have something really cool, versus $6,000 in a classic car back then. Was lucky if it was something that was on the road that, needed everything. So that's how I got into bikes, but then I got back into cars, and the forums turned to, again, MadRatt again. And I was having the whole reason the YouTube channel's named what it is I was asked when I put the new motor in my 64 C10 pickup. I did a crate motor with, I did a full build step-by-step on this forum. And when I got the motor in, they're like, no, it doesn't count if there's no video of it running. You know how guys are. They kid around about stuff like that. So I made a video of the first start, and I used YouTube as a platform just to be able to put up a link so that the guys on the forum could see the video of the truck running. And then there was a test drive video, real short, where I drove away for the very first ride and drove back for the very first ride, and I put that on there as well. And I had to come up with a name for that, just like these forums. What's your username? I'm like, well, it's gonna be MadRatt something. That way, when the guys from the forum know me as MadRatt on the forum, they'll see the channel and they'll recognize it. And is it MadRatt old school? Well, it doesn't have to be old school, because I do like newer stuff. I like S10s and stuff like that, so it doesn't have to always be old school. And I'm like, but I do like the industrial look. I like patina. In my opinion, that's an industrial look. I like steampunk stuff is kind of an industrial look, and I like the mechanical look of things. So we'll just make up a goofy name. That's MadRatt's Industrial Customs was originally what I called it. So that's where the name comes from, guys. If any of you are wondering, I don't know, don't have a lot of followers yet, but somebody will find this eventually, and maybe it'll answer some questions. So MadRatt's Industrial Custom, and then YouTube now allowed you to change the name without changing your link or whatever, and we're going to be doing more on this channel than just cars, than just bikes. Not sticking to any one genre. It's not just Chevys, even though the majority of it will be Chevys. It's not just, cars and bikes. I'm going to be making some shop stuff, doing some shop art. We might be doing some interior stuff. If you can see back over here, I almost had that completely together. What is that? What is it? Well, let me put you up. That is a 4x4 plasma table that I was in the process of putting together. It's about 85 or 90% complete. and I got COVID. And that wiped me out for several weeks, as it did some people. Some people got over it quick. I got wiped out energetically wise. I come down to the shop and I just couldn't do much. So that actually pushed me a little more into the YouTube thing, because I'm like, well, I can do stuff on the computer. Let me start learning how to make some videos out of my old videos. And I wasn't making videos yet. I was still doing my old filming, which is some of the stuff on the rail truck you saw and whatnot. And started learning how to edit and do all that kind of stuff. I still got a long way to go. It takes me a long time. It doesn't flow like I would expect it to. But yeah, so that COVID got me wiped out on that. And when I finally got back to doing stuff here in the shop, stuff was starting to pile up. So that kind of went on the back burner a little bit. And then I was getting ready to start tinkering around with it some more. And then Hurricane Ian hit, and that wiped us out for several weeks. So 2022 was a roller coaster ride of ups and downs. So, but with that table, the everything came in, because I'm like, well, I'm going to be making. I got a lot of ideas up here for things I want to make that are just garage art stuff. Interesting tool holders, more on the industrial side. Things we may or may not sell when we get done. We'll see what kind of interest people have, and if there's anybody following this channel at all that has an interest, we'll find out. And so MadRatt's Industrial Custom Everything is the reason for that name, because we're going to be doing a little bit of everything, and everything that'll be custom. It's not going to be just cookie cutter stuff off somebody else's, ordering somebody else's stuff and putting it together. I like to be hands-on, do everything myself. So that's it, guys. Short video this week. The ab muscles are feeling a little better. I guess I'm getting old, because moving 4 extremely heavy tires, I get, and lifting them 6 inches off the ground blew my gut out. It's taking a week to get back to normal. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you checking in on me, joining in. Try to getting something out every Thursday, regardless of what it is. I've just got to get in the habit. It's got to become second nature to me. It slowly is. I start feeling really guilty when I don't have material to put out, even though I only have a few people watching, because it's a learning thing. No matter what, editing these videos and putting them out, I learn every video, and it's just going to get me better and better, I hope. So yeah, that's why we're MadRatt's Industrial Custom Everything. Customize everything. That's why we're the MadRatt. It's not really who I am. It's just the username I've always used on platforms because of where I was at. Rat bikes, rat rods, Mad Max looking stuff, cars, bikes, Mad Max style. Well, I'm not Mad Max, and I'm not a rat rod, and I'm not a rat bike. It's a combination of everything, and there we go. MadRatt. So MadRatt's Industrial Custom Everything. Welcome to the show. If you have any comments, I'd love it if you would put comments down. It's the only way I'm going to grow as a person, how I'm going to learn what you guys out there are looking for from me. It's the only way I can learn if I'm doing something wrong, or if I need to do something different, or if I'm on the right track. Yeah, I'd appreciate that. But be nice. Got too many people out there nowadays, power hungry to put somebody down. I am open to creative criticism, but be nice. So there we go. Again, appreciate you. And don't forget, don't wait for your project to be perfect before you enjoy it. Thanks for stopping, guys. We'll see you next week.